Hey guys, I'm Rachel O'Leary, and it's time to start thinking about breaking down my summer tubs. Now, the weather's still pretty warm here, but the overnights have started dipping down into the 50s. So there's just a few species I want to get out of here before it gets any cooler, one of which is my Pygmy Sunfish. So I've gathered together some supplies, and I'm going to break this particular bin down and see what we've got. Now, the rest of the fish can stay out a while longer because they can take those temperatures, but because these guys are from the south, I don't want to risk killing them off. So all I do first is I'm going to remove this pot. You can see how extensive the root structure is. Oh my word. Just going to sit that on the top there so I don't stir up all the water too much. I'm also going to collect a bit of water from the bin to move inside before we get started. Have you guys seen this Python Siphon Starter? It's really nice. You just stick your hose in and squeeze it a few times, and then it starts your siphon for you. And the reason I'm collecting some of this water is because this is predominantly rainwater at this point, so it's extremely soft, softer than my tap water. So I want to have some of the water to move inside for acclimating the fish. Now, as you guys know from my video on acclimation, generally I don't acclimate fish at all, but this water is extremely soft. And then that's one of the few times that I do a prolonged acclimation. And over the next week or so, I'll do daily 10% water changes to get it back to my tap. While this is draining, I'm going to pull out some of the floating plants that I'm not going to preserve, which is mainly the water hyacinth. And I'll look these over in a bit to make sure there's not any eggs in them. And these I'll feed to my chickens. Now, you could certainly try and preserve some of the floating plants in an aquarium, but in my experience it just makes a mess. So I tend to discard those. Plus they're inexpensive and multiply so rapidly it's really not worth it. I'm trying to make sure that there's not any fish stuck in these roots. The fry for these guys are extremely small. I'm also going to take out the air line. And I'll move the sponge inside with them. You can see I've stirred things up a bit. Now, if you guys remember correctly, I think I moved out roughly 5 of these fish. So at the very least, I'm expecting to get those back. I'm going to pull the moss that I moved out to move back inside as well with the fish, which has grown into the roots of the bottom of this pot. You can see how extensive the root system got to this pot, and that's been probably invaluable for fry to hide in. Wait till you guys see this male. I will have to get some close-up video down in the fish room, but this male is bright blue. There's quite a lot of sediment in the bottom, so as I'm pulling it out, I'm sort of, oh, there's another big adult. I'm trying to look through the sediment as it's getting captured in my net to see what I've got. As you can imagine, this is not a very quick process, especially with these teeny tiny fish. But I don't want to lose any that I've acquired from the season. And I know I saw an adult in this net. So all I'm doing is sifting through the debris captured in my net, making sure there's no more fish. The fry of these guys can be like eyelashes, so I have to take my time. So I've sat here and I've sifted through and sifted through and sifted through the bin, and now I'm going to let it settle so that I can see if there's any more fish in there. I've caught quite a few, but the container's so full of sediment I can't really get an idea. So what I'm going to do next is prep this papyrus to try and overwinter. Now, I don't really expect it to survive, but I'll give it a try. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the bloody dock cut that back the whole way to the top of the soil. Pull out, I have all these little maple seedlings coming in. I'm going to pull out that. I'm going to trim these roots off. Actually, I'm going to take a minute to look through them for fish. There's more moss. That worked out surprisingly well. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the papyrus to just above the pot surface. And then when this bin is empty, I'll flip it over and overwinter it underneath. Now, a lot of people move them inside, but this isn't one that I really expect to survive the winter, so I'm just going to see if it does. And sometimes they surprise me. Now, I have collected 2 phenomenally blue males that I'm going to photograph for you guys, and a bunch of fry, but I couldn't really get a feeling as to how many. After this settles, I'll siphon off more and look again. This is kind of a drawn out process. Now I have about 3 gallons of water for my bins outside, and I set a little 5-gallon tank on the counter of my shipping station, or it's supposed to be. And I'm going to add the water and the sponge from the outdoor container into this aquarium. And that just assures me that the bioload of this tank can support the fish that were in the volume outside. Now, it's pretty pea soup looking right now, but that's okay because I just moved in the dirty water from outside. And this will ensure that the fish have whatever they're eating outside, inside, at least for the start. So I just released the fry into there. And I'll let this settle down a bit and then hook up some filtration. This is one of the males. And it is rotund and absolutely gorgeous. I don't think that this lighting is showing how much blue they have. It's like this bright blue spangling all over the body of the fish. And these are the okee Pygmy Sunfish, Elassoma, okeefenokee. This is the dominant male, but he's not cooperating. But you can see how dark his dorsal is. So I know this doesn't look like much, but what it is the 5-gallon tank with the sponge from outside and all the fish I collected. And that deep layer of mulm is really important for this species because their fry are so tiny. They need to eat constantly, and they eat this mulm basically and the infusorium microorganisms that grow in it. So over the next couple weeks, I'll work on removing that and getting an accurate count on what I have. But all my adults survived, and I saw at least 20 to 30 1/8 inch or so Pygmy Sunfish Fry. Now, this is a species that's extremely shy on a good day, and since I just moved them in, we're not probably going to see a whole lot here. But if you look at the bottom of the sponge filter, that bottom left, there's a little tiny fry down there. You can see it swimming away. And there's quite a few of those. The mulm also allows the babies to avoid predation by the parents. So once I get these guys fully acclimated back to the fish room, oh, there's a fish too. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. See that guy up at the top left? It's another fish. So you can see how tiny these fry are. But once I get them all acclimated and get an accurate count, then I'll list any extras for sale. Now, I was really hoping to get quite a few more of these, but just the fact that they survived out there without any feeding, and that I did get a decent batch of fry makes me happy. And I'll continue to work with these indoors until next year, where I'll try again. Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my updates, my Tuesday tips, or my Sunday species spotlights. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, let me know below. Thanks as always as well for the continued donations. They help me make these projects possible, as well as for me to get new and exciting fish, as well as upgrade my equipment. Make sure you stop by my Facebook as well as my website, MsJinx.com, where you can find my upcoming speaking engagements, my current stock list, and information on all things nano.